chief. Stop and do the nay-nay, now we chop it to the beat. Tailgate every Sunday, yeah, we bleed that red and gold. Kansas City Chiefs, it's time to take control. Kansas City, are you a Arrowhead chief? Stop and do the nay-nay, now we chop it to the beat. Tailgate every Sunday, yeah, we bleed that red and gold. Kansas City Chiefs, it's time to take control. Now stop and do the nay-nay. Scored another touchdown, now it's time to hit the balls.
What's up, everybody? You were tuned in to the Arrowhead Chief Podcast. I'm your host, Cris. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. Share with your other Chief friends and family. My co-host Mark ain't here today, so he'll just be rocking with me. But you guys are used to rocking with me by myself. So let's get into it. The Kansas City Chiefs unfortunately lost badly to the Buffalo Bills last night on Sunday Night Football. We are not having a Victory Monday, and instead it's a somber Monday. Coming off of a bad loss, the Chiefs probably had their worst game up to date. You know, those other losses, yes, they were bad due to turnovers, and turnovers were the name of the game in this game too, but there were other factors in this game. Let's start it off. The Chiefs, unusually we used to the Chiefs deferring, but this time the Chiefs did not have to defer. They end up getting the ball, receiving it, and they had a long, but it was kind of a sloppy drive, but it was long. And they got down to the red zone, they couldn't capitalize, kicked a field goal. The Buffalo Bills got the ball, and with ease, and Josh Allen didn't even really throw the football, he just ran the football. And he just ran the ball right down their throats, right down the defense's throats with ease, ran it down, got a touchdown. We're talking 7-3. This is where, and then going back to that first drive, Patrick Mahomes, it just seemed like he was a little off. And the offense as a whole was off. Tyreek Hill, he dropped a pass that was right close to the end zone, went right through his hands to his helmet. Travis Kelce, he was wide open, probably would have been a touchdown, but Pat overshot him, threw over his head, and it was that just seemed like the trickle. It was like one of those games where everything that went wrong. And let's get into this defense. In the first half, the defense it's per usual. It was terrible. It was not good whatsoever. Daniel Sorensen continues to be a problem on this defense. Now, this defense is a problem. We're not getting pressure from... Now, Frank Clark had 5 pressures the whole game. He had 5 pressures, but he was the only one to get somewhat of a pressure on the quarterback. There were no sacks tonight in this game. So, but Daniel Sorensen continues to be the biggest liability on this defense. And the reason why is that he doesn't know his assignment. There was the one play when Diggs caught the ball deep near their red zone, close to their end zone, where Diggs faked like he was going to the corner and went straight ahead. And he just caught Daniel Sorensen looking in the backfield, caught him, and you can see Tyrann Mathieu putting his hands up like, what happened? What are you doing? If Daniel Sorensen just gets in Diggs' way, we might be talking about, because the pressure got there, we might be talking about a Josh Allen sack, because he would have to hold on to the football a little bit longer. But we're not talking about that. What we're talking about is Daniel Sorensen continued to be a liability in coverage and in tackling. There were various missed tackles where Daniel Sorensen will be right there and the defender will slip right through his hands. So he's horrible in tackling. He's horrible in coverage. So the question is, what does he do right? And why is it that he's getting 100% of the snaps on defense when he is a liability on on that side of the ball. It is not. He has not looked good all season. He's been terrible. All season he's been terrible. But the most egregious thing he did in the first half was he was with I forgot the tight end Knox. He was with him stride for stride, had him covered, and then he just let him, and then he just dropped off and let dude just run back because he thought Josh Allen wasn't going to throw the football. I guess he thought he was going to run it, and he let him go, and Knox ran it in for a touchdown. And once again, what did you see? Tyrann Mathieu doing this with his hands over his head like, what are you doing? What's going on? And once again, this defense is a problem. In the first half, they were really a problem. And it's putting pressure on the offense. We're going to get into this offense because they're not absolved from this either. And Andy Reid and his play card. But it was a problem yesterday. It was a big problem yesterday that this defense could not get a stop on the Buffalo's offense. Now, I will say this. After they scored, they was kicking the ball off to us. Byron Pringle ran the football out, trying to do too much, and he ended up fumbling the football. Kudos to the defense. They did get a stop then. And I think Pat and them scored off of that stop, which made it 10-7 at that point. But the name of the game was, in the first half, the defense couldn't get nothing, and the offense couldn't really get nothing. We couldn't march down the field and get a thing. And Pat just looked like he was off. He looked frustrated. And this offense, it just seems like they're so bipolar. The big play has become a drug to the offense, to Patrick Mahomes, to the receivers, and I would even say Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Instead of taking what the defense gives them, it seems like they just want to hit big plays. They continuously, at times, send Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson. All their routes seem like they're just so deep. Instead of getting some short stuff underneath, sending Tyreek Hill on a cross and a drag, Mecole Hardman on a cross and drags, chunking them down the field, using the running game, using Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jared McKinnon in the passing game. Now, they did incorporate Jared McKinnon a little bit more in the offense last night, but he should be used more. He should be used more. And it just seemed like everything was so out of sync. It just seemed like at times, Tyreek Hill's mind wasn't in the game. It seemed like at times Patrick Mahomes was just like throwing balls just straight to the dirt, just like whatever. Like, I ain't gonna say he gave up, but it just seemed like he was a little frustrated last night because he couldn't get the big plays that he wants. And the reason why he wants those big plays is because he knows he's scared that this defense has to get back on the field. And he does not trust his defense to be able to get stops. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. So, now let's go into the second half, because at the half, it was 24-13. 24-13. And, and like I said, the Chiefs ended up losing the game 38-20. But it was 24-13 going into the half. And even with that score and how poorly they played in the first half, as a Chiefs fan, you still hold out hope that this team can come back because they've done it so many times. So you never count them out fully. You can't. You cannot count out the Kansas City Chiefs. So, second half comes out, and the defense gets a stop because Buffalo got the ball back. The defense gets a stop. Now, you know, I was going back and forth with Mark on the phone yesterday, and he thinks that the defense left the Buffalo Bills left their foot off the gas and was playing like to run the clock out in the third quarter when the game is still relatively close. He said, oh, the Buffalo Bills was just playing like they let their foot off the gas. That's why the defense is getting the stop, which to me makes no sense. Why would you let your foot off the gas? I don't care how you view this defense. You still have to have respect that this offense has a chance to come back. You cannot let your foot off the gas of the Kansas City Chiefs. You just can't. I don't care. Last night, yes, it worked for their it worked to their betterment, but 9 times out of 10, that's not going to work. You're going to allow the Kansas City Chiefs to get back in the game with this offense. So, I don't agree with him on that. I believe that the defense made a few adjustments, stopped putting Sorensen back in coverage, let him play more close to the line of scrimmage. Instead of Neiman out there, they put Willie Gay out there. And the defense played a little bit better. They pitched a shutout in the third quarter. No, did they get sacks and turnovers and nothing like that? No. But my point is this. All you can ask the defense to do what? Is to get some type of stop. If they can't get turnovers, they can't get to the quarterback, you ask them to what? Get a stop. And that's what they did the whole third quarter. They got 3 stops. And all 3 times that the Chiefs got the ball back on offense, they didn't capitalize. One of them ended in an interception, which wasn't on Pat, it was on Tyreek Hill because it hit his hands, and it went through his hands, bounced up, and they got a pick 6. That was the only thing that they scored in the third quarter was the pick 6. And we can sit here and we can blame the refs on some bad calls. Hey, there were some bad calls on the Buffalo. There was a phantom call right before the roughing the passer play on Frank Clark. There was a phantom holding call on Mitch Morse. They didn't even show it. So I think that was a little bit of, makeup call. So all I'm saying is that this team cannot put it together from, in a full game. They don't never have a complete game. It's always the offense is shooting at all cylinders, but the defense is bad. Okay, the defense is playing a little better. They got a few stops. Now the offense is stalling out. Could you imagine if on those stops, those 3 stops alone in the third quarter, if 2 of those times the Chiefs cashed in on touchdowns? We talking about a tighter ball game. I'm not saying we would have won last night, but it would have been a tighter ball game. But I will say, with the roughing the passer call, and I think it was in the fourth quarter. No, it was in the third quarter against Frank Clark. That sucked. I think that took the air out of the defense because right after that they got first down, and then the Buffalo Bills marched down the field. They marched down the field and they sealed the deal. And Pat, he had two interceptions. The one to Greg Rousseau, that was just a good play on Greg Rousseau. But I blame Lucas Niang because he's got to know that if it's a quick pass in the end zone, he's got to get to Greg Rousseau and not allow Greg Rousseau to block that. He's got to get his hands down. So I don't blame the two interceptions on Patrick Mahomes. One was just a great play. The other one hit Tyreek in his hands. But until this team can get pressure on the quarterback, until this team can take what the defense gives them, this will be the ongoing theme of the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2021-2022 season. And if they don't get themselves together, there won't be no 2022 because they'll be sitting at home watching everybody else in the playoffs. And we definitely do not want that. In the beginning of the season, this was everybody's Super Bowl pick to go back. We got an offensive line, which the offensive line, for the most part, is playing pretty well. We're going to have to monitor Joe Tooney because he fractured his hand, broke his hand, so we'll monitor that. He still played the game with the broken hand, which shout out to him and his toughness. But for the most part, this offensive line has played pretty good. I can honestly say I believe this offensive line, the way it's constructed right now, is one of the best offensive lines right now in the game. But until this team can put together a full 4 quarters of football, this will be the ongoing theme. Now, was this a tough stretch for the Chiefs that they have? But by the numbers, they had the hardest schedule coming out. You got to play the Cleveland Browns, who are one of the better teams in the AFC. Then you had to play the Baltimore Ravens, who, regardless of their injuries, they're still one of the better teams in the AFC with Lamar Jackson. Then in our own division, we had to play the Chargers. And regardless of what you think, how even the Baltimore and the Chargers game, even though if you feel like we should have won those games, that there wasn't a certain amount of turnovers, they still beat us. And it was not an easy stretch. And then we got to play the Buffalo Bills. And we lost to other than the Cleveland Browns, we lost to Baltimore, we lost to Chargers, and we lost to the Buffalo Bills. And right now, the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the AFC. It goes Buffalo, then the Chargers. Then probably Cleveland, then Baltimore, then us. Maybe even the Raiders above us. But right now, as we sit, we are not the best team in the AFC. We are not playing like it. We're not looking like it. But their change needs to happen. Spags, on that defensive side, he needs to get it corrected. Daniel Sorensen can no longer be a liability that keeps us from even making the playoffs. Because if they continue to put him out there like that, that's what's going to happen. That is what's going to happen. Sorensen's going to be the reason that we don't make it to the playoffs. Forget a Super Bowl. If this offense doesn't learn to adjust to the too high safety, everybody deep back in coverage, if they don't figure out a way to beat that and be patient, they're going to not make the playoffs. They got to figure this out. They got to figure this out. Now, everybody was, talking about Josh Gordon playing in the game. And he played, I think, 9 snaps. He had one big catch for a first down. And then there was a questionable offensive pass interference, which I don't think it was pass interference, because I feel like Tre'Davious Wright was holding on to him the whole time. But he looked good. I expect his snaps to increase as he gets more, comfortable with this offense, knowing where he's supposed to be. But from here on out, we got to start. The Chiefs are they're on borrowed time. They got the Washington football team, the Tennessee Titans, and the New York Giants game, which I will be at that game. So shout out to anybody who's going to that game. Come holler at your boy. But yes, these next 3 games are crucial. We have to win these next 3 games. We got the Washington football team, we got the Tennessee Titans, and we got the Giants. And then I think after that is Green Bay, Raiders. Then we go on a bye week. Then we got Denver, Raiders, and then Chargers once again. So this next stretch of games is very important because we got sprinkled in there some division games that we need to win, and we got some winnable games. I think we're the better team than the Washington football team. I think we're better than the Tennessee Titans. I think we're better than the New York Giants. But these next 3 games, we gotta get it together. They need to correct whatever they need to correct. Make some moves, shuffle some things. But if they want to plan on going to the Super Bowl this year, they gotta get things corrected. Or like I said, they're gonna be sitting on the couch in January and February. So that's my assessment of the post game. Thank you for watching, tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification button. If you want to follow me on any social media platform, I'm on Instagram, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. You can follow me, Arrowhead Chief Podcast, or you can follow my personal account, Cris_style 702 on Instagram, or Cris_style 70282. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can find us on any streaming platform: Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Breaker, all of them. You want to find us, we are there. On most of the streaming platforms, we are on there, Arrowhead Chief Podcast. So thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a better week. Be looking out for Friday. We will be dropping the previews of the Washington football game. Hopefully Mark will be with me by that time. So be looking out for that. Thank y'all, and I'm gone.